me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
I think the social isolation, particularly of seniors, we have a large senior population in our community. I think that's underlooked a lot of times because it's not as visible. You know, it's really easy to see, kids in trouble and those kinds of things. When you don't have that kind of social outlet, I think there's a statistic, social isolation is, as bad as smoking for your health. So I think that means a lot.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. Today, we're joined by Maureen McCarthy, Deputy Director of Recreation at the Park District of Oak Park, Illinois, a leader redefining what essential service means in Parks and Rec. From turning 3,000 programs into over 8,000 and tripling program revenue, to building trust, innovation, and accessibility across every neighborhood, Maureen and her team are proving that when Parks and Rec leads with purpose, entire communities rise. She shares powerful insights on bridging equity gaps through after-school and senior programs, turning staff ideas into innovation through the Launchpad, and why communication and accountability are the real secret to long-term success. Get ready to be inspired by a story of growth, leadership, and heart, straight from one of the best in the field. Let's dive in.
All right, this is Craig LeBlanc again with the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series, airing Monday through Thursday, every Monday through Thursday, 12 noon Eastern. And I've got a special guest from the great state of Illinois, Maureen McCarthy. Maureen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Fantastic. Well, we have got quite a show because I believe we have discovered a master of two great things in Parks and Rec, and I'm sure it's come with a lot of hard work. And so she's going to share the story of how she accomplished what we talked about in our pre-show chat. But before we do that, I want to play our promotion for how vendors of the Parks and Rec community can help build this media company with us. It's going to be a heavy lift. This is essentially building something like an ESPN, but for the Parks and Rec industry. And we're only now, after a year, starting to accept help after we've got sufficient momentum and kind of halfway know what we're doing. So I'll play that first, and then I'd love to get Maureen's feedback on why Parks and Rec is absolutely an essential service for a community. We made this video, I think it's been about a month ago. It's actually our most popular video in an effort to reframe the conversation at these meetings where you're fighting for every tax dollar. And they're putting you on the chopping block. So I'd love to get Maureen's feedback from that. So we'll play those two and then we'll come right back.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion Parks and Rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them. Are you a vendor, brand, or service? When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present. Parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Parks and Rec is safety. A playground instead of a street corner, a basketball court instead of trouble, a summer camp where every child belongs. It's not just about activity, it's about protection, prevention, and possibility. Parks and Rec is community, the festival that brings neighbors together, the cultural event that teaches respect and diversity, the open space where a city breathes. It builds bridges where division once stood. It gives people a reason to gather, to connect, to care. And Parks and Rec is economics. It strengthens property values. It drives tourism through events and trails. It saves on healthcare costs. Every dollar invested multiplies, feeding back into schools, into safety, into growth. Essential service is not just about survival, it's about thriving. And Parks and Recreation is where thriving begins. In wellness, in equity, in culture, and in joy. Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. For our health, for our safety, for our communities, for our future. A message from the Parks and Recreation community.
So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good. It is true. People don't always think of Park and Recs like that, but on our busiest day of day camp, we have 1,000 kids in our care. All those families are going to work, but they need the daycare. Some people take it for fun, but we allow people to work. We have a big senior programming. Sometimes it's the only socialization they're getting. Part of our community rec center, we did a capital campaign to build it. It's been open 3 years. Part of our commitment to the community was a free middle school, high school, after school program. And we're getting 1,200, 1,500 kids a year signing up for it and seeing, over 100 a day. So all of those things really make a community a better place and allow families to really thrive.
Yeah. Maybe let's talk about and what I've played that video so many times for directors to try to get the feedback on it, but we've never really discussed the problems caused when Parks and Rec disappears. We kind of saw that during COVID when they just got completely shut down and sent home. What were some of the issues that you feel would be, or maybe if you've even witnessed some of the issues, kind of like you identified, if we don't run our after school care, then parents, what do they do with their children? As kind of a daycare scenario, but are there any others that we could highlight?
I think the social isolation, particularly of seniors, we have a large senior population in our community, and I think that's underlooked a lot of times because it's not as visible. It's really easy to see kids in trouble and those kinds of things, but when you don't have that kind of social outlet, I think there's a statistic. Social isolation is as bad as smoking for your health. So I think that means a lot. Our community rec center didn't exist 3 years ago, and we were hopeful that we could get 3,000 people to come in. We priced it at $25 a month and a free walking track membership. Mm-hmm. We are overwhelmed. We have 20% of our population. We have 55,000 residents. 20% are signed up for something in that building, whether it be a membership or a track membership or the after school program. So just that need. A lot of those people, this is their first time working out, first time having access to that kind of environments. And park districts and wide community centers feed the higher end fitness industries. We get people started and then they're like, we want more. We want to do higher end things, and we feed those economic drivers in our community that way. And I think that's underlooked as well.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we can even describe, so what does an unhealthy community look like? And on the opposite end, what does a healthy community look like? We could even start with activity outside. An unhealthy community might be somebody that's just sedentary lifestyle, overweight, high blood pressure. And then maybe a healthy person might be somebody that's more active out in the park, you know, ideal health weight, stuff like that. But what are some of the other signs where you see this looks like an unhealthy community? We may want to create a program around this.
Well, I worked in my prior life was YMCA a lot in the Chicago system, and I ran community schools in 4 failing Chicago public schools, and I will tell you those were communities in jeopardy, and their schools aren't the only thing failing. So
Yeah.
just
Can
seeing
you
the
identify that for a second? Like maybe describe what does a failing school system or school look like?
that had a certain percentage of children not meeting the basic requirements for each grade level,
Mm,
and not successfully hitting all of the marks
I see.
that were
Mm,
needed. So they were in south side of Chicago, the greater Roseland neighborhood, and 2 in the Austin neighborhood.
mhm.
And they just needed resources they didn't have. And I would drive from different communities, and just entering those communities, the trees weren't there. They had some blacktop behind the school, but they didn't feel safe taking their kids outside to for recess, things like that. I tried to do I did do a family night. We had 100 kids show up and 2 adults, and the police pulled up, and they're like, "What are you doing?" We're like, "Well, they're like, "Well, now we have to sit here." Like, you can't just bring 100 kids on a Friday night to a school playground. And I'm like, "Well, we didn't, it never occurred to me." So
Yeah.
that's an unhealthy community. Oak Park is a healthy community, and we do serve, we border that Austin neighborhood that I ran those programs in, and we do see a lot of our parks filled with our residents and residents from those communities that surround us that don't have as much. And the bridges that are built, I mean, these children are playing together. They're getting to know each other. So those bridges help, just by the free play in the playgrounds, but just the access, I think, to programs and services. I've been here 13 years. I think we had financial assistance when I got here. And my exec had been here about a year before I was here, and I'd worked with her in the past. And I think 13%, or $13,000 or $16,000 was being given out in financial assistance. This past year, we gave 250,000. Oh, actually,
Holy
yeah,
cow.
300,000 last year in financial assistance. So
Wow.
even just in communities that have resources, not everyone can access them. So being able to provide the financial assistance so that every single person in the community can take part, I think is important as well.
What a powerful message. We need to play that clip in every boardroom and every council meeting. Maybe describe what access means. So what does a child or family look like that does not have access, and what do y'all do to kind of give them that access in addition to any type of financial aid?
Well, I mean, the basic lack of access is you don't even know it exists.
Oh, yes.
You don't know what's there. We built the community rec center. We're 5 square miles, 55,000 residents, 5 square miles. Like, how do you not know that a 3-story building is being built, right? And a busier part of the community. But people just, and particularly families that might be in crisis or in survival mode. I mean, they're not looking up, they're not looking out, they don't know. They're just trying to get, fed and clothed and get their kids to school. I mean, I have 2 teenagers. It can be overwhelming, everything you need to remember. So the first thing we did 13 years ago is we started working with the school social workers. They had access to those kids that they knew were struggling, and we started to make connections that way. A couple of years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago, we did a direct mail piece to every single mailbox in the community saying, here's the financial assistance, here's how you access it. One thing we keep hearing is transportation, getting kids and people to where they need to be. We haven't tackled that. That's a bigger, we're not in the transportation industry, but we keep bringing the community partners around the table and sitting around saying, how do we help with this? But that is some of the issue with access. Our after school program for middle school and high school kids, we really wanted teens to have a voice, and we wanted a diverse group of teens to have a voice. And in talking with, like, how do we get children to, kids involved, they're like, well, if you want kids, especially like high school age kids, if you want them to do leadership roles and things like that, they may have to go work to support the family. So we actually give a stipend to the kids that are on the committee so that we can make sure that, if making money is, if I can either do this as a job or this as a job, they don't have to make that choice. So we try to look through the lens of equity in all of our decisions, and how do we reach across to people who aren't engaged with us. We've done a lot of community meetings. We've done a lot of, met with churches, met with different community groups, and do outreach constantly to try to bridge that gap. A lot of it is trust. They have to know you and trust you before they're going to give to the people they work with. So that's going.
What do you, when you talk about know you, trust you, build that trust, what are the kind of like granular things y'all do to maybe open up that process a little bit more for somebody looking to kind of build that trust?
You have to do what you say you're going to do. That's basically, you prove it, right? Prove that you're going to do it. You can say whatever you want, but prove it. And, that's how we do it. We meet with people regularly. We give updates. We do a lot of communication, but until we do it, it doesn't matter what you say. They have to see the action.
And where do you think that lack of trust comes from? Just people making promises and just not delivering kind of thing?
Yeah, life experience. We've all been let down by people, all different industries, all the, even getting your order wrong at McDonald's is a letdown, right? Like,
Yes.
There's one McDonald's I won't go to because they give me Coke to the Diet Coke like 1 out of every 10 times. So
Right.
Go an extra half a mile to get the one where I don't have to drive through the drive-through twice. So it's just do what you say you're going to do.
Now, what do you do to kind of fight for your ability to do that? And when it comes to, I guess, telling your story to the elected officials, just to say, hey, look, we really need this. Here's why, here's what it does. What does that look like on that end where you're just fighting for the dollars?
Well, so we are in the nice seat of having our own elected official and our own dedicated tax funding. And we have a phenomenal executive director, Jan Arnold, who, manages communication to our board. And we have an amazing board of directors, elected officials. There's 5 of them. They are phenomenal, and they are part of our decision making on our values, on our strategic comprehensive master plan. They're at that planning table, and then they give us the direction, and then we do the work. And so I feel like we're just in a really luxury position right now of everyone's on the same page. We are very thorough, thanks to our executive director, with our planning and our accountability. We just launched a 5-year comprehensive master plan in 2025. I have it hanging on my board. It is broken down by our values. It is broken down by our goals. It is broken down on what year they're going to occur and the name of the person that's going to do it. And those are on our reviews. So we are all aligned and going the same direction, and it's very clear. So, we're presenting our budget tomorrow night to our board. There's been pre-meetings and stuff like that, so there's no surprises, but we're all aligned and we all know where we're going and what we want to achieve. And so it's pretty seamless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, because it seems like so many master plans get a lot of effort in their creation, takes a year, they spend tons of money doing it, and then it just collects piles of dust on the shelf and it's not a living, breathing document. How are y'all able to make sure this is the roadmap, we're staying on it, everybody rowing the same direction? How did you get there?
That would be our executive director. We track every single goal. We have quarterly meetings with the board that say, here's the ones in progress, here's what started. Sometimes something happens that it can't happen for, whatever reason. But that is very rare. And usually it didn't work this way, but it worked this way instead. So it's just accountability, and then the name of the person who's responsible for it. You're responsible for it. So, if you want a good, you got to do it, right? Because it's in writing, it's tracked, it's, we have a dashboard with all sorts of metrics that we track, and those are on there. So I can go in, anyone can go, any staff member. And then we have a public facing dashboard as well, kind of for some of our bigger goals and things. People can see where we are and what we're doing. So, and there's constant reminders.
God, it seems like y'all are just at the top of your game. It's like all the mistakes that have ever been made, y'all have moved past that, and now you're just doing what works and executing the plan.
Well, we've made all the mistakes and we learned from them. Like I've learned more from my mistakes than my success. So yeah, when you've been in the industry long enough, you've made all the mistakes and you know what doesn't work.
So what do y'all do when you find something on the master plan that just needs to be delayed, taken off, replaced? Because you don't have unlimited resources and you might have, this discovery 2 years into your master plan. Hey, this maybe isn't a high priority. How do you get something off the master plan and kind of rearrange it, making it that living, breathing document?
Yeah. Well, one of the things we did is we went from a 10-year plan to a 5-year plan.
Oh, there's a good one.
COVID taught us that, right? Like you can plan, but we've moved things different years. We were one of the things on a plan. I don't know which plan this was in, but we wanted to redo a desk at our ice rink, just to make it more customer friendly and easier to manage. And it just came in extraordinarily expensive. It was, we had like $150,000 and it was coming in at like 400,000 or 500,000. We're like, well, that's not going to happen. We're not doing that. That's not a good use of money. So we just pivoted and we said, okay, what can we do? And what systems or what do we need to do to make it work the way we want it to work without investing that kind of money? So
Yeah.
we just pivot that way.
Yeah, because there's always that black swan event that comes and just completely upends your plans, and you just kind of have to work on the fly and work with what you have versus the ideal situation, which is rare. That always plans that way.
Yeah, and you got to communicate. I mean, everyone needs to understand why. I mean, and everyone needs to be like, all right, not everyone needs to agree, but a majority need to agree. Yeah, this isn't going to happen. We're not spending that kind of money on that, and we're just going to do this instead. And that's what we do.
So how do you keep the team rowing in the same direction? I know that's always tough with any team that, people kind of just going in their own direction. How do you kind of create that synergy for your team?
We do a lot of meetings, a lot of communication. I mean, always it's going to be on staff satisfaction survey. They don't get the information that, and then when you dig a little deeper, a lot of times they want to know what really, why so-and-so doesn't work there anymore. They want to know what they want to know, not what they need to know. So, we do an all staff meeting every other month. All staff are invited. We videotape it. Our executives updates. All of our staff committees give updates. We have newsletters that go out. We try to trickle down the information through all the different staff meetings from the leadership on down. I do a lot of meeting with my team. Some of them are spread out. I have an ice rink, I have a gymnastics center, got a couple outdoor pools. So bringing that group together at the different levels, at the manager level, at the supervisor level, to just make sure we're having the conversations and that people are part of the decisions that they can be part of, really helps.
Yeah. And I know one of the problems that a lot of Parks and Rec departments can face as they try to replicate what you're doing is they get in this echo chamber that's just all the staff, but how do you keep the community engaged, making sure their input is you got to gather that input, you got to value that input, and basically do what the community kind of would like to have versus what the staff wants to have?
So we have several mechanisms. We have a Park District Citizen Committee that meets every month, and that is a group of community members that volunteer their time. And we try to recruit diversity of age. We recently had someone in a wheelchair that was part of it to represent the community, utilizing us from a wheelchair situation, different race, different education background. So we have that citizen committee and we use them a lot as a sounding board for things. And part of every meeting is like, what are you hearing in the community? We try to geographically pick them around the community. We also do focus groups. A person who runs marketing used to do focus groups for a company that worked with McDonald's and did focus groups with them. So, I mean, she's really good at them, right? So she can gather the information. Part of our comprehensive strategic master plan, we kicked off the year before doing every 5 years, we do a community interest survey. And then we do a lot of our own research. We are on the local social media. It's painful as it is to read, but I every morning start with the mom's mail. Like, what are they saying about us and about others? And it's amazing the kind of information you can get. And we do direct outreach. If I see someone complaining on there, I'll instant message them or direct message them and say, hey, I'd love to talk about this, kind of thing. And then we partner a lot in the community with the different entities, and use their knowledge and what they're hearing as well.
Yeah. And so I'm hearing a lot. I think you must have said it 10 times by now, but just communication in every direction on every level. So what are the kind of the secret sauce that y'all use to maybe facilitate that communication ongoing nonstop?
I mean, it's just got to be a habit, right? I'll say our exec is constantly keeping the board members. We don't want a board member to be at the, grocery store and first time hear something that might be very important. So, that's her role, and she does all the communication with the board. I do it through my managers and my supervisors, and then I count on them and reinforce, and it's part of their review. Like, are your staff hearing what they're supposed to be hearing? So it's just kind of a culture thing, and an expectation. And then our marketing team has gotten really sophisticated with how we're communicating. We before COVID, everyone was sending out their own e-newsletter. It was just you could have gotten 3 or 4 emails from us in a day from 3 different people, depending on the programs or services that you do with us. So we locked that down, and we said there's one on Wednesday. It's got a phenomenal open rate. I want to say 60%. A phenomenal open rate for what it is.
That's huge.
And then maybe it's 50. Like, I could be a lot. Fact check that.
5% is huge on an email click rate.
Yeah. And then we put everyone else on the schedule. So early childhood gets the first Tuesday of the month, and the active adults gets the third one. So we were very thoughtful about how we communicated to the public, so it wasn't getting ignored because it was too much. And then also for our program surveys, we don't want everyone doing their own program survey. Like, if you took 3 classes with us and all of a sudden you're getting 3 surveys, the same week. So 20% of whoever's in something enrolled that month gets, randomly selected. So we do that so we're not overwhelming people, and that the information is actually being consumed.
And so when we talk about communication, and we've got all these demographics, we've got, the older community that maybe isn't so tech savvy. And then we've got the younger community, maybe that's very active on social media, maybe even by percentage. What efforts do y'all put both into social media without leaving behind the print media, or is print media just irrelevant, or do you find that it's still very relevant with the older community?
So we found in our surveys that people over more than 50%, I don't know what the percent, I have talked to Maureen, our marketing team, loves that program guide. They love that stupid thing, that 100-page, like, ridiculous.
So it's a printed
thing.
Oh, I see. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So, but after COVID, the prices doubled to printed. So we went to twice a year that we do it. And at the time we did twice a year registration along with it. And we were hearing financially that's a little difficult, keeping track of it. So now we have 2 program guides, and then we have 4 registration cycles, and then 1 for day camp, because it's been compared to the Hunger Games because it's so competitive. But so we still do that, and we send that to every person's house. We also do postcards, I want to say every other month or quarterly, to everyone's house. And we print our summer camp guide in-house, and we don't send that to everyone's house, but we have it available. We also have all of this available online, and 90-something% of our registration takes place online, but we still have that option. For our seniors that are at our senior center, it's not really a senior center, but that's what it's called. We give them some face-to-face time. They can go in and register. Anyone can come in and register, but we have a person dedicated at the location that they use when registration opens, so that they can get the access that they need. So we do a little bit of everything. We have a local paper, and we will put things out in the local paper as well. But we're doing a little bit of everything so that we're trying to capture people.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show today. I'm assuming that are you giving talks on this kind of stuff? Because of all the people I've talked about communication and programming, you're like at the top.
You know what? A lot of my team does presentations. we have a large state conference in Illinois with about 3,000 people. I have presented there. I presented on our innovation team at our national conference.
What is that? The innovation team?
So the innovation team, when my boss and I were sitting down and talking, and we're like, one of our values is innovation. And the staff at the time were like, yeah, we're really innovative. You know, we have a circus camp. I'm like, okay, well, that's a cool program. And then the community surveyed, the community didn't see us as being innovative. So we're like, well, there's a disconnect. So how do we, change that internally so that we are more innovative? And I had worked at the Y Metropolitan Chicago. They had an innovation pot of money, and the different branches could come in and compete for that money. And, and we're like, that was really cool. That was once a year. That was for money. Like, how do we make that better? So we put a pot of money aside. And we wanted to have it so that all staff at all levels could submit an idea, that there could be dialogue around the idea, that we could, launch ideas with seed fund money and things like that. And that it didn't need to be a new iPhone, it could be a new, way of doing something. So we found a really inexpensive, it's a IT help desk platform. And we were able to brand it as the launch pad to launch ideas. And anyone can post an idea. Any staff member can comment on an idea. They can vote for the idea. And then, as we see these ideas come up, we can bring it to the department that it affects. Is it a marketing idea? Is it a program idea? Is it a maintenance idea? And we could talk to the team there if this can be done. And we've launched hundreds of ideas. We did get a little squirrely with like, well, what if it's a really expensive idea and we only have this much money? And so now we have twice a year, we have a big idea, and anything $1,000 or more goes in a big idea. It's only a $3,000 budget, so it's not too much more. And then the innovation team narrows it down to like 5 to 10 ideas, brings it to our exec. I'm like, which one would you fund? Like, which 3 would you fund? She picks a 3, and then all staff vote on it, and whatever wins, wins. One of the first ones that won was the maintenance guys wanted backpack blowers that were not gas but were electric because of the hearing and all of that, and that won, and they got it, and they were very excited. So we do that. We recognize if you get an idea and it launches, you get a little plastic gold moon man. If you're the one that actually has to do the work because it wasn't your idea but you have to do it, you get a star. If you comment a lot, you can get a moon pie. So it's just kind of a fun way to keep people thinking and to let them understand, like, this is something we value, thinking outside the box, doing things differently, making different procedures or not policies, but procedures or systems, making it easier for the customer. And it could be, a really cool program idea. Yep. So.
Fantastic. Well, I can't believe we just blew past the halfway point of our show and haven't even gotten to the 2 topics I want to talk about. What I'd like to do, I'm going to play a promo since we spoke about facilities maintenance and stuff. We actually have a program that runs 4 days a week just on facilities maintenance, all things facilities maintenance. That is, by almost everyone I've spoken to, nearly half the effort, time and money, manpower goes into just maintaining our facilities. I'm going to play that, and then I'm also going to play the Youth Sports Mastery show with host Aaron Locks, one of the greats when it comes to youth sports in Parks and Rec. And then we'll come right back and just our conversation with Maureen.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content. We elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. And powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of Parks and Recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job, it's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy.
I listened to that first part where they say they're there before sunrise, and I don't think I've been at a park before the sun rises and there's not somebody just cleaning up from the night before activity or some special event. Maybe you can speak a little bit about your facility maintenance crews that help you run these facilities.
Sure. Yeah, we have a great team. We have them broken up for people. We have a conservatory, so our conservatory grows all the plants and plants everything in our parks and does all of the flower beds. We are a non-pesticide operation, so we do have a turf manager from a degree from the Ohio State, apparently, on turf management. I used to work in baseball world, so he does a phenomenal job with our parks. And then the guys that do the facilities and buildings, we have 83 acres, and for our population size we should have 500 according to the National Park and Rec Association. Wow. So as you can imagine, we are well used with 55,000 residents and the surrounding communities, so their job is huge. And it is a constant. I run the after school programming too, so they're always making a mess they have to clean up. So yeah, it's a big job, and they do a lot of work.
Certainly is. Okay, so let's get into this 8,000 programs year round. Maybe start about the early days before you got up to this level. Where were you? And then let's talk about the journey of getting to where you are today.
Sure. So I came on 13 years ago. My boss was a year before that. And they, it was a good park district. They had 3,000 programs. I think I heard at the National Park Conference this past month that the average park district has like 250 it was an insanely small number compared, and we were like, what? So they were doing 3,000, which is still a pretty good number of programs. And we have grown it over the last 13 years to over 8,000. I say 3,000. I guess we were making $3 million in program revenue. I am submitting a budget tomorrow night that's $13 million. So we have grown $10 million in revenue in the last 13 years through program alone. And that was done, by just growing, identifying where the needs were. I mean, the easiest one was after school. There was like 1.5 after school sites serving a handful of kids. There were wait lists all over community. You go on the mom's mail, everyone's panicked. What do we do with their kid? What do we do with our kids? So, I mean, that was the first place we started growing the programs. But we have identified gaps of services in our community that aren't being met. I mean, we don't want to go head to head, with something that's being well served. Like that does no one any good. Most of our youth sports, like soccer and baseball and stuff, they're really well established nonprofits that run them. Oak Park Youth Baseball, Softball, AYSO. So we start them little and we get them, started, and then we do the handoff to the community that can to meet that need. So we don't need to be operating in that space, especially without space. But the places that we can and we do meet the needs, we have an ice arena. It's one sheet of ice, but no one else is meeting that need in town. So we take them through higher levels with that, gymnastics as well. We didn't have any basketball courts when I started, other than one full court outside and 2 half courts in the community. And when we opened our rec center a couple of years ago, it has 2 basketball courts in there, and that has really opened up what we can offer for people. So we've just added programs. We have 2 historic properties And those were mainly used for weddings and, wedding showers and things like that. Well, we've introduced a huge number of programs, many of which are for adults, because that was a group we were underserving. And we partner with local breweries and local wine places to do wine tasting. We partnered with the Humane Society to do a happy hour fundraiser for them, where it's a cocktail party with your dog, which is wildly successful. So those kinds of things, just to see what's not being done, who we can partner with, and what programs people are asking for. And then we follow our wait lists. If we're not meeting the demand for something, like how can we? A good example is our Santa trolley. That thing fills in like the blink of an eye. Starts at the conservatory. Families get on a trolley. They sing songs. They go. They meet Santa. They meet Mrs. Claus. They have a magic show. They tell Santa what they want, and then they take the trolley back, and the next group comes through. We've never been able to meet the demand for that. So last year we opened up a second location. So now both historic properties are going at the same time for multiple weekends to try to meet that need. So if there's a demand, we'll try to make it and meet it and get people where they are. Not always possible if the facility's not there or the staff's not there. But that's how we've done that. A lot of partnerships. We were underserving our senior population. And there was a senior center that was operating out of one of the senior living facilities that were losing their space. So we said, well, is this an opportunity to partner and combine? We moved them into one of our locations that also does other programming. We got all of the supplies. I think they were serving 30 people now. I think we're at 300 members at this point. They kept a foundation, so they are supporting a lot of the supplies that are needed for the programs to try to balance the cost of it. So those kinds of things bring program opportunities and serve more people.
So it sounds like you have a super high degree of mastery around maximizing the facilities you have. Any advice to someone aside from just making sure the whole roster is full? But what do you do to kind of maximize your facilities? Since you, like you said, 88 acres, you should have 500. Lack of facilities. What do you do to kind of maximize what you have?
Do a lot of arm wrestling? No, we don't do that.
Right.
You have to prioritize. Are we using a room for 5 people for this class, or could we fit 30 people? So how are we using the space for the best? Is there any flexibility on the day and the time? Can we move things around? I mean, 3 to 6 at the community rec center is, with the exception of the fitness center, that part that's not included, it's locked down for the after school kids. I mean, you can't do much more when you have 150 12 to 18-year-olds in a building. So we prioritize. We did condense our arts programming. Was all over. We picked one of our centers to do it. We're 5 square miles, so it's not like we have to offer something on each side of town. We did a heat map of where people were coming from for different programs. We did a lot of talking to the community, like, do we need this in 2 places? And we found, like, no, it's okay. We can do some of this. People can get to where they need to go for the most part. So then we just kind of said, okay, this space is for this and this space is for that. Our gymnastics center has a community room involved. We do a lot of our dance programs there. We can do fitness programs there. So we multi-use space, and everyone just needs to share and do the best we can.
Now, how do you launch these unique facilities? Because obviously there's not a lot of across America gymnastics facilities, or you mentioned a couple others like the circus. What was it about the circus stuff?
Circus camp. Yeah, that one, unfortunately, we lost the staff. So we had to.
Oh, no.
We were doing some circus, so we brought it back with partnership opportunities. But when we identify specific staff, a good example is the partnership with the senior center. That came with the lapidary equipment. Now, granted, that equipment is like 100 years old, but I mean, that stuff keeps going. And we had a very small room, and there's not a huge demand for it, but there is enough of a demand that it was worth doing. So we had the equipment, we had the staff, and we can serve 4 or 5 people at a time. We have other things going on in the building, so it's not like it's taking too much additional staff. That's how we work that one. The gymnastics center, used to run out of the back of our administrative office in a garage kind of area, and it had wait lists as long as as you could go. And there was a referendum that had passed to redo an aging ICE facility and to build a standalone gymnastics center. So that opened like soon after I got there. And that program serves 1,000 individuals a year. We are looking for next year on how do we get other types of programming to maximize mainly the community room, because the space is the space. And then the ice rink, again, it existed at the time before the renovation. It was just seasonal, and they wouldn't have ice in the summer. And we're like, well, I mean, we're creating a better envelope, so it'll maintain heat and cooling better. So we went to year-round ice, and that just blew up what we were able to do, because then we have 12 months, and things are quite successful there as well. But most of our spaces is multi-use. We have, I think, 9 individual 1 to 2 room community centers, the small 1 classroom or 2 classrooms that have been around 60, 70 years. And so then we just, what is the best use of that space?
Now, anything on, I'm curious if y'all do anything on like visual arts, performing arts, music, or anything like that?
Yeah, we do a lot of that where we have the seniors. We have arts programming out of that. And we're actually, one of our facilities has passed its useful life. And we actually did a design competition, a blind design competition where we had architects anonymously put their design up there, and then we had the community vote on the top however many. We had a committee that worked on it of architects and designers, and we just broke ground on it. And that one is going to have a small stage and a dance floor, because we do have huge wait lists for our dance programming. We also do performing arts. We just started an improv. We partnered with I don't know who we partnered with, but we're doing an improv class for, I think, teens and adults. So we do a lot of arts programming. We do individual guitar lessons. Part of our senior stuff, there's stained glass that you can also do if you're not part of the senior thing. We have a small ceramic studio. We have more looms than you would know what to do with when we merged with the senior center. So we have weaving. We have sewing. We have all of those kinds of things.
Man, you're making me want to move to Oak Park over there. Y'all got so much
Nice
stuff
place it's a nice place to live, work, and play.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the other big topics I want to cover, because so many people just solely depend on tax revenue, and even though it sounds like you have a very robust support from that side of your revenue, you're not kind of sitting around waiting on that being the only thing. So how do you get your revenue out of your programs?
Yeah, so we are, last year, I think we ended the year at 52% earned revenue. We added $10 million worth of program revenue. Yeah, that helps a lot right there. But we transferred $3 million over in 2026. I think the budget $3 million is coming out of the rec for capital improvements to the facilities. So we, as part of our strategic comprehensive master plan, I've always been like 20% over the cost to run your program should cover overhead. Well, now we have a formula. We worked with 110%, and they had
shout out to Jamie Buck.
Yeah, and so we are now running all of our programs through this. How much really is it costing us to run this program? And then we worked with our board to develop a continuum of what should be tax subsidized and what should not be tax subsidized, and what percentage. So everything in our 2026 budget has to be at or near or heading towards falling in that continuum. Someone's private ice skating lessons shouldn't be subsidized by taxes. That's one individual, is something specific. So good news, most of our stuff, it was within the range and right where it should be. We've done a pretty good job of pricing. So that's helping us kind of to shape that. One of my goals for the year that I was working on for the plan was looking at our anyone we partner with, our splits, how much, and it seems to be industry standard where 70% goes to the contractor and 30% to the park district, which I think park districts undervalue themselves. The marketing, the registration, the maintenance,
Facilities, the land.
yeah, the land. So not all of our contractors, we weren't getting enough out of it. So we're going back to them and saying, at this price, this is how much more we need. I mean, if you're going to raise your price on top of that, you might outprice yourself. You might not have a program, but we're being very thoughtful about how that looks, so that we can maintain this. And then if people can't afford, our financial assistance is available. The number one thing, since we opened our community rec center, we only charge $25 a month for a fitness membership for a resident, and that's the number one thing we're giving money towards. We also partner with our school district. Any child in entering grades 1 through 5, that's a free or reduced lunch family, they're eligible for 2 free weeks of day camp. We give half the money. The school district gives half the money. And also summer school ends at noon, and any working family couldn't do it. So we partnered with them, and we do an extended day program for them. And that can count for financial assistance for that month.
Yeah.
So, and then we have a sliding fee scale for full day care and for our aftercare. Anyone making under $100,000 a year, we have a sliding fee scale to make that affordable for working families.
And maybe to give a little shout out to Jamie and the work that she does, what are some of the biggest lessons and takeaways that you've implemented in your system from what she teaches?
From what she teaches, we did a lot of reinforcing. Many of us have been through some of her trainings before and just kind of share the same philosophy. I will say our deferred maintenance and our capital improvement plan is spot on. We are investing back in what we have. We are doing preventative maintenance. So I would say, we don't have, a lot of deferred maintenance. We're putting geothermal in our historic property homes for the long-term care of those. So we are very forward thinking that way. And I would say what we do with caring for our assets totally falls in line with being good stewards of the money that we have.
So where do you go from here? It seems like y'all are kind of at the top of your game, but you're not resting, saying this is good enough. What does kind of the future look like for y'all? What kind of things you're working on?
We always follow the feedback that we get from our customers, and no one has the perfect software system for our industry. So that's something, that we are constantly working with our vendor on. We changed vendors. I don't know if it's been 5 or 6 years, and we're still pushing for improvements in that. We're still following the trends in our community. We're seeing like the grade schools had fewer kindergarten rooms last year and fewer first grade rooms this year entering. So we're watching the demographic shifts, and making sure we're, understanding the needs, and engaging people where they are. We still are only serving, I think we're at like 60% of our, I don't even remember what percentage, but we have it on our dashboard, what percentage of our residents are actually enrolling with something, signing up. Like most of them are walking through our parks and things like that, but engaging with us at the registration level. And there's still 40% that aren't. So how do we find out what they want and need? Because everyone has something that we could be providing. So continuing to do that kind of outreach. And then we watch a lot of what other people are doing well. I mean, we do a lot of things well, but we're not perfect, and we're not, necessarily the best at everything. And a lot of people are doing really cool things. So we do a lot of looking for others' ideas and pulling them in. I mean, I'd love to read someone else's program guide and see what I can take. So just those kinds of things, and then they continue to partner with the community and find out what they need.
Now, what do you think of the future big efficiency gains? I know we've got like between robotics and AI software, like you mentioned, or even using big data through all the cell phones, feeding data constantly. Do y'all take advantage of any of those, or are there any ones you'd like to take more advantage of?
Yeah, I mean, we have a group of staff looking at the AI and how do we utilize that. We have an internal site with all of our policies and procedures. If it's after hours, what do you do, kind of thing, so that staff have access to everything at all times. And we've been running that through an AI tool to see if we can make that more efficient for staff to access things, because it's always been a bit of like, this is really clunky. training wise, how are we training staff on computer systems? How do I don't do this, thing in our registration system a lot as a customer service person. How do I, do that? Can I just click on something and see a tutorial where I'm watching someone do it? So we're trying to utilize it for training more. Chat GPT is the easy one. Running our descriptions through it and stuff like that. So yeah, we're trying to figure out how to do that. I mean, we don't want to upload our data or any sensitive information to that. So that's kind of like, all right, how do we do this in a safe way without jeopardizing critical data that's then in the universe? So that's something we're grappling with. We're in the process of hiring a new data person. We used to have an innovation and data person before COVID. And we're bringing that back, but to use it more as the storytelling of what we do, to get the word out on that kind of stuff and how to analyze the data. And I think AI is going to play a big role in that as well. So we are very, very interested, and we are exploring it and to see how we can utilize that.
Have y'all started to incorporate any of the robotics from the mowers, sprayers, painters, stuff like that?
Yeah, we we're not 83 acres, right? So we're not super huge, but we did partner with a neighboring town to buy one of the ones that does the lining of the sports field. And we've had a lot of fun with that at community events, laying out like our logo in the middle of the field for a special event at our egg hunt. I think they tried to do the bunny, but it started to look a little demonic. So they just did the eggs, Easter eggs and things like that. So we're trying to play with it in a fun way. In addition to utilizing staff time. So they'll let that go while they're doing other work in the park and pick it up. And we share it with another town to make it more affordable.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we have a little tradition where my previous guest left you a question.
Okay.
And then you'll have to leave a question for my next guest.
Oh.
But the question, and this comes from Trevor Welcher over at Thomas County, Georgia, was an amazing. By the way, if you didn't see that, he was another just great leader that is just an amazing speaker, great life story. But the question Trevor left you was, if you had to build the perfect park with 3 items, what would it be and why?
Shade, because everyone gets hot. Open green space for free play, and a really good playground incorporating stuff for, fitness for adults through little kids.
Yeah. We talk a little bit about that open green space. I haven't covered a lot of topic around that, but I mean, here in New Orleans, we have quite a few open green space it's just an open field and they're just packed with stuff. But it seems like we always focus on the park or the community center or stuff that's super specific. How important it is to have just open space for your community?
Well, I mean, I'll say, we're very, very, very urban, and we only have one park that you feel like, it's got the trees and the walking path, and it's not huge. It's got our, our nature center in there. And I will say that just the number of people just sitting there reading books, walking dogs, it's near a senior living facility. So, you just see the seniors going bench to bench with caretakers and stuff. I mean, just having that space and the relationships. I'll see on the Evil Moms mail, like, oh, if you were at Ream Park yesterday, I just lost my lights. If you were on Ream Park yesterday and your son was named Tyler, my kid really enjoyed playing with you. We'd love to have another play date. Like, so those connections that take place, I think are huge. So and I think kids are so programmed. I mean, not every outing needs to be an organized sports thing. Like, just let them explore and pick the dandelions and those kinds of things.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So what question would you like to leave for my next guest?
I would like to leave, this is one I like to use in interviews, but I'll put it towards a park rec. So what are you most proud of your agency providing for your community?
What are you most proud of your agency providing for your community?
Yeah.
Proud. What's your answer to that question?
I will say, and maybe because, this is the route I came up with, providing that the childcare aspect for the after school and the day camp to allow parents to like go to work and know their kids are well cared for. That one for now. Change if you ask me tomorrow.
That's a very practical one too.
Yeah.
For your community. Okay. So last one, I need you to help me pitch this industry to kids that haven't decided yet. So if you're sitting in front of a group of college kids that don't know what they're doing, where they want to dedicate their life to, or maybe even some summer camp counselors, high school kids that are maybe working in Parks and Rec for the first time, but haven't considered this industry to dedicate your life to in a career capacity, what would your message be to them?
It's very rewarding. It doesn't have to look like, because we work when people play, so that doesn't always appeal, particularly to the younger generation. They don't want to work nights and weekends and things like that. But there are all sorts of paths and avenues. We have accountants, we have marketing people, we have grounds people, we have, the industry can be anything you can think of. You can find a spot, and a pension's kind of nice. I get government. We don't pay the most, but long term, if you did the calculations and all of that, I mean, the benefits, are lifelong, and it usually attracts really great people who want to help make the world a better place. And it's important that you like the type of people you're working with, and that you're making the world better every day.
Yes. Wow. What a great testimony. Maureen McCarthy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I feel like I could do another 10 episodes with you. We've only scratched the surface, and it's probably my fastest 1-hour episode I've had so far. But really appreciate it. And I'm doing my best to make it to y'all state conference. I know it's
January in Chicago. Why would you come?
And it's actually during my birthday. I'm like, this would be a good birthday present to myself.
It is. I've been to it 14 times, and I've been to the national one, and yeah, I would say it'd be worth your time.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best to bring the Daily Parks and Rec show. We're actually going to about 12 between the end of this year, now and the end of this year and next year, and I'm trying to squeeze it in there. I actually am available. I just got to get the right people to say yes. Come on, here we go.
Well, that hotel books up quickly, so if you're thinking of it, registration's open. So at least pencil in your hotel so you have a place.
Yeah, better get with the program. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all the wisdom and excellence that y'all have there. Y'all are really doing a great job. And I've interviewed, you're my 293rd director or assistant director that I've interviewed. So congratulations on everything y'all have accomplished.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Really appreciate it. Have a great day, Maureen.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye. Wow, that was amazing. I was trying to cover as much content with her as possible, but I still have maybe 10 other questions. We'll have to save it for another day. One of them was just how do they build their team? I know I probably could have spoken on that for 10 or 15 minutes. But 1 hour is all you get. We'll just have to schedule another one. Hopefully we can catch her if we attend the Illinois conference and maybe get many of the people that are working hard, setting a great example for the country up in the great state of Illinois. They really take Parks and Rec to a whole nother level, set a great example for the entire country. I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing everything that you've learned with us and having all that just in your head. I'm sure she didn't have like notes going, but I guess when you're living something and it's just so easy to talk about your daily battles and successes and stuff, and you can kind of see that in how she responded. So awesome job there. Okay, so we have a show immediately following this. So I say immediately, we got what 19 minutes before we start our monthly show called The Rec Room. And this is with Henry County, Georgia, another one of the best park systems in America. Thomas White is forced to be reckoned with his executive director, Jonathan Penn, and a whole crew over there that has offered to create a monthly show, pull back the curtain about how we do what we do at Henry County, Georgia. And we'll actually be attending the Georgia Parks and Rec Association in coming up in just a couple of weeks at Jekyll Island. We will be interviewing at least 30 people, maybe 40 or 50 if I can have enough caffeine to interview everybody. That's going to be coming up soon. But yeah, in about 15 minutes, we will be starting The Rec Room with Henry County, Georgia. So stay tuned for that. And then tomorrow, we also have 2 episodes, another leadership series similar to what we just did with Maureen, directly followed by the Youth Sports Mastery show with Aaron Lux. He always brings some of the best coaches, athletic directors, people that have dedicated their life to youth sports. And it's always a great show. That's every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully we can see you there. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. And let me see what I'm going to play for y'all. I'm gonna promote our young professionals network. This is the next generation, and many states are starting to turn on their young professionals network. They're on their second or third year. Some of the older states might be in the fourth or fifth year. NRPA, I think, is they're approaching their 10th year, and many states don't even have a young professionals network yet. But if you have a young professionals network for your state, I welcome you all to the Friday show. That's all we talk about. So I'm going to play that promo, and then I'm also going to play something about how strategic partners can help us create more content for the Parks and Rec industry. This is Craig LeBlanc signing off with another great leadership series. Thank you so much, Maureen, and y'all have an awesome day. We'll see y'all here in a little bit.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story. At DPRS Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of Parks and Rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now, we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead, while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.